Bene, benvenuti, grazie di essere qui. Oggi inauguriamo un po' l'inizio della stagione di WeMake, che ricomincia dopo l'estate. Lo so, è dura per tutti, per fortuna è arrivato un po' di freddo e quindi si ricomincia a essere un po' nel mood lavorativo. Io sono Zoe, per chi è la prima volta che è arrivato qua. Costantino è qua con me, co-founder di WeMake, cioè, ci sono alcuni membri del team di WeMake anche seduti tra il pubblico. Siamo un makerspace, quindi uno spazio che ha tecnologie varie di fabbricazione digitale a cui si accede attraverso una membership, quindi si possono usare le macchine, creare i propri progetti, ma anche fare corsi e proporre anche corsi, quindi se avete qualche idea di corsi da proporre potete farlo tranquillamente. Facciamo progetti di ricerca, progetti europei che comunque riguardano l'approccio maker, quindi come tecnologie open source dal basso possono cambiare la vita delle persone e avere impatto sul territorio. Una delle iniziative che portiamo avanti dall'inizio della vita di WeMake, che nasce nel 2014, è quella delle residenze. Quindi il programma Maker in Residence è un programma che abbiamo, questa è la quinta residenza che abbiamo, perché oltre allo spazio che vedete qui abbiamo di sopra un appartamento con anche un'aula studio in cui riusciamo ad ospitare artisti, maker, designer che ci propongono dei progetti con cui abbiamo voglia di partecipare e collaborare. Abbiamo avuto di tutto, persone, artisti, designer che lavorano con varie tecnologie, macchine da maglieria, fresa a controllo numerico. Questa wearables, questa volta abbiamo un duo di artisti che ha fatto application per un funding dal governo ungherese, l'ha ricevuto e quindi ha deciso di utilizzare 2 mesi della loro vita per sperimentare, venire qua da noi e quindi saranno ospiti da noi sono arrivati ieri, quindi da oggi fino al 20 di novembre staranno con noi e lavoreranno, poi ci racconteranno loro direttamente su cosa lavoreranno. L'idea un po' della residenza è quella che si parla molto di condivisione delle pratiche, delle conoscenze. Noi usiamo molto internet anche per pubblicare documentazione, fare tutorial, fare corsi, ma abbiamo capito e abbiamo visto anche avendo questo spazio che la conoscenza tacita, quella che si scambia stando vicini gomito a gomito a fare le cose, ha un valore che è difficilmente convertibile in un altro linguaggio. Quindi non è possibile convertire questa conoscenza di prossimità con una documentazione, con un tutorial. Quindi crediamo che sia molto importante continuare questo progetto e questo tipo di collaborazione, anche perché prima di aprire WeMake abbiamo girato per il mondo per 2 anni, andare a vedere quali sono gli altri makerspace che cosa fanno. Abbiamo conosciuto un sacco di gente interessante, con loro in particolare io li ho conosciuti perché ogni anno, tranne quest'anno, però per 3 anni di fila sono stata all'E-Textile Camp, che è un camp focalizzato sulla sperimentazione su wearable, e-textile, tutto ciò che riguarda l'elettronica e l'interattività con i tessuti. Si tiene ogni anno, organizzato dal duo di Covacant, e loro lo organizzano. Ovviamente il numero è limitato a 40 persone, ogni anno fanno un'application e si può partecipare. Lì li ho conosciuti e insomma ci siamo piaciuti. 6 mesi fa mi hanno scritto e mi hanno detto: ma che mi dici se veniamo a fare una residenza da te? Io ho detto: wow, va bene. Quindi vi lascio la parola, la presentazione sarà in inglese. Lui è messicano, lei è ungherese, coppia bomba, però vivono a Budapest, e quindi lascio la parola a loro, che ci racconteranno un po' sia il loro lavoro passato, sia quello che andranno a fare qua, con cui potrete anche interagire se avete voglia, potete venire qua e vedere se avete voglia di collaborare. E in più abbiamo allestito una piccola mostra dei loro lavori, quindi poi possiamo passare a toccare e interagire con un po' dei loro lavori. So, thank you for being here. And I just said a bit of the story of this place, and how we met and how we got in touch. And now please introduce yourself and go on with the presentation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Buonasera. Grazie for coming. Thank you very much for coming. The presentation is going to be in English. I hope it's all right. So we are EJtech. We are an art and tech lab based in Budapest. I know art and tech is very much of a broad definition, but we fall under that. We're an art and tech lab based in Budapest, and we basically focus on the exploration of interface, interaction, sub-circuitry, and observing all this type of that is happening between the art and tech world at the moment. I'm Esteban de la Torre. This is Judit Eszter Kárpáti. Judit Eszter Kárpáti is doing her PhD studies in the Moholy-Nagy University of Art and Design in Budapest. She is focusing on e-textiles, and she's focusing on the integration of interactive technologies into textile art and design. I myself, I studied animation, and I am more of a sound and visual person, and together we form EJtech, and we try to put both of our disciplines into one thing. And I think EJtech is very much of this polydisciplinary type of laboratory, where we don't really define exactly if we're like doing sculptures or we're doing like sound art or any of this. It's more like really malleable and really liquid, and it's very much about, of course, it's a very long trial and error process, but it's kind of like fluid. In the end, we have like a result which is kind of like impermanent. We have it like build up for one moment, and then it's like over. This is our beautiful logo. So I mean, these are just like a couple of pieces of things that we work with. We work a lot with the textiles, of course. We think that textiles are very interesting as a metaphor as well as a medium of how things are intertangled and interexchanged, and to build like a membrane, like a main fabric, whether it's like with knowledge or whether it's with electronics or whether it's with whatever. So textiles is a big part of our thing, but it's not like our main thing. We're not really like an e-textile lab. And we're not so interested in wearables per se. They are very interesting, but I think it's not one of our focuses. We do focus on many other things. It's the sound, music, the translation of I don't know, like sound into physical form and vice versa, and well. Something else with that? Okay. So we would like to show you a couple of our works that we are doing, and we try to document most of the things that we do. We also try to document the process to be able to share it so people can reproduce it. It's not always so successful because many times as you document the process, halfway you realize that it's really not the way it's supposed to be, and you have to step back a couple of steps and go from there, like make a branch. So when we have like a walked process, then we document it, and that's what we try to share. This is a work called Sang Suminagashi. Suminagashi is an ancient art of Japanese marbling, and it was you put water and it has this on top, and then you would put a paper on it and take it up, and this would give you like a really nice marbling pattern. And these were unique. And usually they're made through blowing on the surface of the paper, blowing on the surface of the water, painting a little bit on it. A unique pattern. What we thought about doing is using sound to create the pattern. So we went through the same process of putting ink on the water, and to get the pattern, we put a pure sound sine wave into the water, and this creates it creates a pattern. And we tried with many frequencies. Of course, as you might think that lower frequencies create much bigger bulges of paint. It becomes thicker, and when you use higher frequencies, you get like a really thin type of, a really detailed type of pattern. This is the process. This is a low frequency, for instance, and yes, of course, there was a question like, how long would we apply the frequency into the water? How long would it last? We try to always use the same interval as like 1 second, and then let it go. You have many frequencies here. Looks like this. It's more of something really low. At the end, we took a paper and like made the print from it, and it was a print from the frequency. Frequency prints depending on the. So these are like many of the experiments. You can see this is like one of the results. This was 333 cards, right? I think so. So that was one of the results, and we made like a collection from it, and it looked really interesting. We work a lot with the interfaces.
So the next one is textile interfaces. The selected works from our artistic research focusing on experimental interfaces and recontextualization of tangible interaction for the creation of immersive soundscapes. The next one is called Liquid MIDI. It's an experimental textile interface for sonic interactions, exploring aesthetics and morphology in contemporary design. The technology is printed onto a textile surface, then through an Arduino communicates with the desired software using MIDI protocol.
We go into Max and into Ableton Live. So first it goes into Max and then into Ableton.
So our intent with Liquid MIDI is to enable the user to experience a balanced interaction and engagement, focusing not only on the importance of aesthetics, while integrating with the same importance and elaborate haptic experience through an experimental textile interface, concluding with the real-time creation of sound.
With this one, I think what we wanted to do is make a graphic pentatonic scale. So we thought how to place 5 points on a grid and how you would be able to play with it without getting lost into the technicalities of a pentatonic scale, but just how it would be, like even if a child would try to play with it. And this is kind of like the idea we came up with.
This is the fader board, potentiometers, where we use the different minerals like bismuth to trigger the sounds.
You can't see it on the picture, but the knobs for the potentiometer, they were made from minerals. So as you would like fade up or down, you could plug it into any sound or any volume or any parameter that you want. Yeah, there's like fader. There's 5 faders.
This was our first MIDI controller that we used the screen printing with conductive ink. But that's the sound.
This was like a really early experiment. We're just like trying to see like how would it work, like what because what you the freedom that you get from being able to screen.
Dos, 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 tres, 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 cuatro, cuatro.
Like the freedom that using screen print you get it into the graphic side of it, so you can really think of something which works with the sound. And I think that's what we were trying to think about. Good.
The next one is a green set called green sensors. We tested the different brands, leaves, and everything. So yeah, maybe the video is much more interesting.
Yeah, so this is like a weed sensor. They're very tiny because they become brown in like 2 days. So it's kind of like part of the magic of what we like to do in this sort of something that is like impermanent. You know, you move your sensor, you use it, and then eventually you like comfortable. It's like a green launch pad. We have the second one. This is like we're trying to think about a drone, like how to make a drone. This is like we're trying to there is a collision, like build collisions, like really long space, and it's just the sensor which is sort of triggering. So we have like many experiments towards this way, and sometimes we use them to play live music with like our like really temporal sensor. We use it and read it, and then on to the next. The following one.
Yeah, this is our hacked knitting machine. It's KH910. It was super hard to find one in Hungary, but we found it. So
we were lucky enough to get the motor with it. It was in the summer camp where we started to learn about this knitting. I never knew that I was going to be so interested in knitting. It's super cool, like this, this picture to stitch idea and what you can do with it. It's really, really interesting. We have a hack with our IAB shield, which is Our Yarns Are Beautiful. It's they're both in Germany, right?
Yeah, we have it here too.
And it's really good to be able to knit your graphical ideas, but we use it a lot to also knit interfaces. And we have a video. For instance, this is a waveform knit. It's kind of like a thematic interface, and we knitted the different waveforms, and you can play on them. So you would have like you can modulate the square wave with the sound with the sine wave, and you get like some sort of modulation.
this is a thematic knitted piece, the audio-visual interface for the video, and sample reproduction of sound bites. So this is from a cultic track called Scream from Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah, we have a video. Does anybody know Wu-Tang Clan?
Yeah. Yes.
So
Yeah,
Wu-Tang Clan has a track called Cream, which is cash rules everything around me. Which is like knit rules everything around me. We actually brought it, you can try it out here, but we're going to play the video anyways. This one also had like a...
Okay. Is it going to that reverse?
That was
everything around me. Cream, get the money, dollar bill, yo.
we want wanted to. I think we can see. This is Claire. She's like the one that was showing us a lot of this, like knitting. She was kind of like a sensei for knitting for us. Yeah, here we don't have the video, because it also triggered videos, but here we only triggered the sound.
So the next one is called the EJtech. It is about embedding audio onto a knitting pattern and decrypting its content back into sound. So by mapping the length and pitch information of the sound piece, we get the pattern. This pattern can be knit without losing the information in order to be decrypted back into sound. So it's like MIDI to stitch.
And then stitch back to MIDI.
Yeah.
So this would look like we thought about the imperial march. And it looks a little. Oh, sorry about that. The summer camp 2 years ago. Yeah. We're also working a lot with dynamic surfaces. We try to, it's kind of like actually how we started was with working on one of these projects. This is the this is called haunted chromatics, and it's just this. This is a thermochromatic curated textile, and we're running a thread with like high resistance with EJtech one, and we're playing around with great phantasmagorical visuals. And so this is like towards the experimentation of using like this type of getting the thread one and making it onto the surface or whatever. And one of the outcomes would have been this piece, or is this piece, which is a black solid rectangle. And when you press the red button, then liquid comes out. Next to the rectangle, you can't really see it, but it says light is. When you press on the red button, it says like liquid. And then when you let go, then it just like disappears. So it's with the same technique or technology that the other one was working. Just this is like used in a thematical sense.
This one is called Chromosonic. It was my degree project at the university. This is an electronic textile. It changes color according to sound, different sound, using an Arduino. This project investigates the relationship between digital and physical, combining textile arts, crafts, using traditional textile making techniques.
And it's just woven, I believe.
It is woven. I used heat-home wire that heats the textile.
One of the problems for using nichrome is that it's not really bendable anymore. It's a wire, so it's like really stiff. And from there, we started to experiment using other type of conductive threads, conductive yarn. To if you're using a textile, it should be really bendable. No, this is like it works and it gets fun and everything. Just it's still a Frankenstein. It's still kind of like half textile, half electronics, and it's not really any of the sides. I think it's a beautiful piece. Just we're trying to make if you're working with textile, to make it as soft as possible, so you can like really crumble it and put it in your pocket and then take it out and plug it in again, and it should still work. If no, it's really nice, but it remains as a gag, not so much.
So it's not totally ready, and it's still under development, but yeah. And on top, I screen printed the 4-layer pattern, like a glitch type of pattern.
And each of the different.
Yeah, so the patterns react to different temperature, from 30 to 50 degrees.
Okay. So this is also from.
So you probably need to explain a little bit about how a thermochromic paint works.
Yeah. A thermochromic is temperature reactive, which means that with the change of temperature, whether it's from hot to cold or from cold to hot, it either loses or gets colored. And it kind of works binary because it doesn't really change from like many different colors with thermochromic. There is other paints that actually have different stages and change different colors between one another. But this one, it's either from reactive to non-reactive, which would be like black to white, or like from black to nothing, or from blue to nothing, red to nothing, or like nothing to red. So it's just a paint that reacts to heat change. So some of our further experimentation was making soft speakers for textile speakers, and we thought to embed it as speakers work also do get one. We thought we embed the speaker onto a textile, and this is from an early test of some of our ideas. So all sounds you can hear here comes from the textile itself. Textile of the mouth. All sound is reproduced in this textile. It works as a membrane. The coil is in the textile, and it works as a flat coil, and the magnet was on the top, and then you create a electromagnet, which makes the textile vibrate and creates the sound. With this color changing idea, we thought about
So we have created a surface from the space oddity work. It's called Sensory Lines. It examines the relation between textile sound and space, receiving textile as an audio emitting surface, as well as an interactive display source. So we created the soft speakers and applied them onto a woven structure. So the sound is produced and controlled individually at each cross point, which you can see. We use the thermochromic ink also. The pixels acting, so the woven cross point acts like pixels.
Like these big pixels, but if you could still display an image from it, depending on how big your woven thing is. No? So it would be a pixel that also reproduces sound and changes color. You would have like a black or white to produce some really low resolution images, but like super huge.
No.
Yeah. So this is through the time we kept on trying to do soft speakers. This is the latest, or maybe not the latest, but the loudest, yeah, the best working one. And this is in waterproof membrane with a laser cut copper textile, and then it's just applied to the textile. And so far, it has like a really nice, I don't know, like definition in sound, and it's really loud. It's loud enough, and this is how it sounds. Here, just the girl started singing, but once the rest of the music starts coming in, you can all the sound is coming from the textile. You can't see the vibrating, but once you get the lower, you're going to see how it vibrates slowly. Like the lowest and highest? I think it really depends on each speaker. You know, we didn't really get to like the 20 hertz under, pero it does get really low. I mean, it also depends on which amplifier you're using. You have to test different ones. We've been known to burn a couple of them because it's a really inefficient speaker if you think about it that way. If you kind of like meet the middle point between the coil, the amount of times it turns, we use a neodymium magnet in our ferrets, good neodymium magnet, and it really depends on also on the amplifier. So it's not such a fixed science that you have this and this, but you kind of have to try it out. Yeah. So this is this was a work that we exhibited in an exhibition we did called Senscapes, and this was the techno-spiritual practice of drawing Enso. Enso is the typical Zen thing you see, like the circle. and it's supposed like this Sen calligraphy. This circle, when you draw it, it's called enso, and this enso, it's supposed to be done under one breath, and it's supposed to not only help you, like do everything under one full movement, but it's kind of like this unification of oneness with the. It has like this philosophical background rooted in Zen. When we talk about like the techno-spiritual practice of it. So we have two things. This is also a thermoreactive ink. It's the liquid crystals, and it reacts to touch. So when you touch it, it would appear. That would be the actual practice of it. And on this side, we had a small laser drawing the circle over and over and over and over. It was powered by a servo. It was like controlled with a servo, and the idea was of a machine actually drawing the enso and practicing the Sen calligraphy itself. And maybe one breath would be one turning on or off, or one breath would be like one full battery, something. This piece, you can't see the whole thing piece here, but you can. We have the text out here, so you can try to draw on it with the laser. Yeah, this was our latest exhibition. This was in Berlin 2 months ago.
In May.
In May. And it was called New Ways of Discussing. It was a little bit like the migration of the, not the constant migration that is happening now of trying to put the physical world into the digital world through virtual reality and many other things, which we also think is like super interesting. But we also like to explore the side of bringing the digital into the physical world. So inspired in a lot of net art and 3D render tests and many things which are exclusively digital. We try to make this sort of compositions and installations in a physical form and make them also interactive in a way. So I think we're very interested in when we exhibit a piece, it shouldn't be just like hanging like a dead cow, but you should be able to go and interact with it in a way. Which I think there is really thin line, because in our experience, the moment that somebody is allowed to interact with the piece, they in a way lose a respect of it being an art piece, and they think it's a toy, and they start playing with it in a way that you don't think they think like it's kind of like really rough. And these are of course like things that can break easily in many ways. So I think it's still like a interesting thing to see how to actually make something interactive without being a plaything and still being considered as an art piece, but not having like this distance, like, oh, I can't even breathe on it because it's going to rot or something. So I think that's something that we have experienced and we have to, or we want to. And so this is the thing. This was, you could paint with laser on it. It was just like a composition, which always mimics like this net art or vaporwave type of really digital aesthetics, or this new aesthetics or new wave of aesthetics, which is always a little bit peach and has, you know, like a lot of this like, unicorn skin mermaids. This was it was 3 lasers, and they were also controlled with servos, and this was one of the compositions, and you could draw, it would draw on them like by lines which I can like scan through them, and it's also curated with this light sensitive thing, light sensitive, and when you paint on it, it appears and then it disappears the same way as this one. So it's kind of like, you know, in 3D softwares, you do render tests and you have to check the caustics, which are usually like with glass and with 3 different lights. Very vaporwave Mercury or Hermes statue, and the different geometrical shapes to see how light is hitting it. And it's kind of like using that same aesthetic and that same composition and put into the physical world and see how it looks like, and you're seeing it there. This was the, or this is the same thing, just it's a liquid.
Light reactive.
Light reactive liquid. So you can draw on it and then it is there. Sorry. So light reactive liquid. So and part of our residency, what we would really like to focus during the time that we're here, we wireless freedom. We always have so I don't know. We believe that it can give you like lots of freedom, whether installations or whatever. It's something that we would like to be. We don't know yet so much, and we would like to go into it. The laser control. So far, we've only been using servos to control our laser, which is like slow, kind of like clunky. It's kind of like a sketchboard, you know, just XY or something. And we would like to somehow further that and to be able to control a laser in a much more, you know, like full way, to be able to like reproduce images or to be able to scan things. And third point is in her PhD research, she's really much working with soft speakers. And maybe you want to speak about it.
So I would like to continue my research about soft speakers. I think this is a good place to try different techniques here.
And there will be a workshop in residency. Il 1 ottobre, sì, il 1 ottobre facciamo un workshop, loro faranno un workshop nel costruire, we will build soft speakers.
We can try different techniques.
Possiamo provare varie tecniche per farli, qua con la flotterina, con la laser cut, facciamo un po' di test. I magnetici li abbiamo, quindi occhio a portare robe metalliche che si attaccano e basta, c'è una file. Adesso lui ci mette 5 minuti a spostare il computer da qua a là per attivare l'installazione. Se intanto avete qualche domanda può rispondere Judit. Domande specifiche?
Okay, I'm going to disconnect this 1 second.
I'm working with conductive paint and textiles. I encountered some problems with the resistance of conductive paint, especially when the textiles is not yeah, definitely.
Which paint do you usually use?
The very conductive paint and attachment, and also setting the threshold very low. Still, it was about for 20 centimeters. The resistance was about 10,000 ohms.
Yeah.
And just stretching a bit the textiles, it increases around 50,000 and also 60,000.
Yeah, like I think also with Ver.
We tried it, but it didn't work. It's not the best paint.
We like for with Ver, one of the pieces there is made with Ver, and one of the counter things is that when it's dry, kind of like cracks, cracks, and that breaks your circuit, which happened to 2 of the things over there you're going to see. And there's another paint we use, which is like a silver base. It has like a really low resistance, and it's been working really good. It's not so cheap, and it comes in a little amount, but we can kind of like recommend that one as well. It's low resistance, and with that one we could even screen print the speaker.
Okay.
And
it's a silver color.
It's kind of silver color.
And it comes with a pen.
No, it comes in a, I think this one.
jar.
It's a jar.
Okay.
Jar.
It's a jar,
Oh, one silver color like a cream.
It's kind of like creamy. That one, and that one was, they usually use it to print small, like industrial circuit boards.
So it's very
Exactly, and it's super nice. Just, I don't know, I think you can.
Have you tried to make your own that from nothing? I saw some recipes online. No, but I saw have you tried that?
We also tried to, I mean, we also cite Pero. I didn't really try.
Oh, okay, let's go to the...
I connect this. Can you bring the speakers over?
Sì, dimmi.
Allora, io volevo chiedere, non sono perso all'inizio, per cui magari se tu detto le domande stupida. Loro hanno delle artistiche, loro hanno sperimentato magari questo tipo di con persone che diciamo, hanno altre modalità di comunicazione e se pensano di realizzare qualcosa anche nel campo nel campo della realizzazione tecnico.
And the question is, okay, you did a lot of experiments from the point of artistic point of view and of conditions, but have you ever tried your creations with people with special needs or disabilities, or have another way to communicate, or you are, maybe you did it or not? If you're not, maybe willing to do it in the future?
I think it's really interesting. You can translate for me. You speak English?
Capisci o se...
Se traduci va bene.
Okay,
Without that.
I need to translate, so
So-
make short sentences.
I think it's a really good area to try to, because we do work a lot with interaction, and it would be really interesting to work with people that want to interact with different things in a different way. It's always.
Allora interessa molto questo aspetto, quindi you didn't do it. You didn't do it.
No, not yet.
No, non l'hanno ancora fatto, ma sarebbe molto interessante poterlo fare.
We had with autism, we had a project, which was just as a theory. It was never put in practice. It was with them, with this wall that you saw, sensor lens, and it was a little bit of how to create sound, but it was the kind of really peaceful sound. But it's a different type of handicap. And I think it's the interaction, like haptic interaction with different interfaces, whether it's whatever you want to do. It's something which does interest us. So far, we've only worked towards sound and towards this like art type thing. But I think it's
Sì, hanno lavorato finora sulla parte artistica. In teoria, cioè nella teoria hanno progettato una sorta di progetto per bambini autistici a partire da un derivato di una delle opere in cui c'era una parete, it was the one with the laser. Which one?
the speakers.
Quello dei sempre gli speaker tessili, e quindi vedono se nel futuro riescono a trasformare questa teoria poi in una pratica. Why didn't you do an experiment? So you started for theory, but then you didn't practice because you were not in charge with someone?
It was with a grant.
For a competition.
It was with a grant in
No, c'era un premio, loro hanno provato a presentare questa idea, ma non l'hanno vinto.
For instance, I mean, I don't know if you have like any sort of idea or some sort of need that while we're here we can maybe work together.
Dice che se hai qualche idea, loro sono cameresi, quindi watch out, because he has many ideas. Ho detto di stare attenti perché tu hai tantissime idee. Altre domande? Fatto, comunque siamo qua, quindi le domande poi se arrivano iniziamo a fare in modo più formale. Ok, grazie. The speaker, devi ascoltare gli speaker. Let's move the speaker.
And let's stop the broadcast.
Sì, togliamo il broadcast. Venite